Hi, I'm Carrie. I'm the owner of 4ChicksFurniture and Wood Art, and we're going to take you through how we designed and built a corner desk for one of our clients. We had to meet some specific needs for this desk in that my client wanted it to be a standing desk that had to fit her existing space in her office, so it had to match her furniture she already had, and she needed to be able to store 2 drum cases on the bottom of it. My client started by sending me general dimensions of how wide and how long on each wall that she wanted to have the desk. So we started with 36 inches from the corner out on both the right and the left side. She also sent over the dimensions of her drum cases with height and the diameter of them so that we could fit them on. I started out just by drawing the outside and the top of the entire unit, and then just basically did a block all the way down. And from there, then I started to cut it up into pieces. When you look at the bottom shelf, you can see that we had to make cuts all along here. So we have to cut around. So as I mentioned, I first took the top from up here and just duplicated it, and we drug it down. I'm not the greatest at SketchUp, but I know enough to get through for what I need. So basically we start with lines, basically deleting all the parts of the wood, if you will, from around the outsides of the legs. The goal was to make sure that we had about half of the leg overlapped by the shelf. As you can see on looking at the top of this, I have some extra lines in here, and what those are simulating is where the boards are going to be glued together once we start cutting the long board that we purchased. So instead of being one wide piece of plywood, for instance, where you wouldn't have to join it, we're using a rough sawn board. And so the lines represent how wide that board is. And the reason we did it on the design here is because when we take this and we go to the shop to cut, we're actually going to take the computer with us, and that way I can see where the 45-degree angles are. Now that the design is finished and the client has approved it, it's time to go buy our lumber and get to the shop and start cutting. Jointing is to make sure that all of these corners are 90 degrees, because if they're not 90 degrees, they won't fit together for a perfect seam. So when we do that and run them through there, now when we glue it up, you'll hardly even see a seam in here. And I'm taking off very little. So day 2, we're unclamping the top of the board. We did this last night. So today we're going to turn it over and see on the other side, because this is the back side. First thing we did is we have our legs are from Osborne wood products. They're my go-to for table and bench legs. The inside edge is 1 inch, the outside edge is 2 inches. So I have those marked. And then we're going to just line up the legs where they go in the correct orientation, because these are tapered legs, so you have to watch where the taper is and where the flat sides are. So after we get them oriented, then we measure in between, and I have the measurements for the back sides, the corners here, and the front. The apron has to be cut at 45 on both ends because the legs are at an angle. And this is the full piece, and we're going to end up cutting out a spot in here for a drawer. But right now what we'll do is we're using it as a full piece for our layout. I opted to Craig screw this instead of domino it, just because the thickness of the legs made it a lot easier to make sure everything is lined up correctly and I don't get off on my measurements. And this will hold it just as tightly. We don't want to permanently attach this front of the apron. So we have it clamped into place, blocked out so it's not going to move, because we want to be able to fit these sides in here and make sure that we have them at the right dimensions. And I might actually make an adjustment on these and make them a little bit longer to bring them in. But that's exactly why you do this. You test before you permanently mount everything. I've traced around the legs, making sure that we have the depth that she needs on the bottom shelf, and now we're going to cut it out.
parts of the shelf together.
The finish on this corner desk, we started with a Sherwin-Williams BAC, which is a wiping stain. So it's got 2 coats on it, and once that was finished, we started with 1 coat of satin polyurethane, and then we took a wire brush and we wire brushed the top of it, the front of the drawer, this shelf down here, so that it matches her furniture that she has in her office already. Then we followed up with 3 more coats of polyurethane on top, and I think it turned out great. We are scheduled to deliver this next week, Monday.